Absolutely.
And now I'll just leave everything running, and it's just all yours. Take it as you need.
Okay, so this is my one last talk, and the date is the 25th. So let's get going. It's going to be hard. This is going to be hard, but I'm going to give it. So it's. So I'm sat in my lounge. I say my lounge, my dad's lounge, and I looked over, and that's when he said, "All right, you found out my secret." And I'd never seen him like that before. It was weird because I realised over the years there was this tone that was very different. But I'd never seen him like that. It was almost like he left his soul. He took a cigarette puff. He was on 40 a day. It was the crack of that cigarette and this 1,000-yard stare, and I just went, wow, I've done it. I didn't know what to think. Apart from I just felt this feeling like I was. You've ever done like a trust fall and everyone holds their hands out? It was like that. It's exactly like that. And all I could hear was my dad's policeman friend, and he said, he kind of crept over and goes, okay, we need to know how many there were. And I just thought, yes, that's it. It's all been taken care of. He confessed to, to raping boys and sexually abusing me, and I felt responsible for those 2 boys because I didn't suck his dick or take it in the ass, and because of that I felt responsible. That they would call me out one day and say that I'm a paedophile and that I'm responsible for that. The truth was, he wasn't even my real dad. It was just someone I met while cleaning cars. And what I realised was my life from that point on, when he first approached me, has been a complete lie. Everything. When I first met him, it got to a kind of a critical point when I was about 14. There was it's like a 3-way grooming. There was social services and education welfare going, you need to send your son to school or we're going to send you to jail, and my mum put pressure on me like that. They then wanted to take me to a boarding school for boys. That was their solution. And that scared the hell out of me because I'd never had a male role model in my life ever as such. I had, but I only knew the way of the woman. And then I had this guy who had a 3-bedroom house, and he had books and pens and food, and he was hardly ever there, and that offered me a place of sanctuary, a safer place, believe it or not, than all the other options. My home life was crap, and it just wasn't good. That's why social services are involved. So subsequently from that point on, I spent years and years and years going around in this cycle of this merry-go-round of self-sabotage, where I'd do really well, all this stuff, and all of a sudden, quick, run, hide. And that got to a critical point about 3 years ago where I said, if I ever do that again, because I thought I'd figured it out, then I'll just kill myself. And I said that with a psychologically, a playful seriousness. I meant it, and and that was the deal. So then it all happened again, and I thought, well, here you are, and what are you going to do? And I thought, well, you either kill yourself or you do something about it. But I wasn't going forward ever again until this had been resolved, or you just kill yourself. That was might sound silly, but that's where I was. That's where I was at. That's the deal I made. On the one Christmas 3 years ago, I got a message from one of the boys, and that sent me spiraling into this depression again. I thought, fuck, I've got to hide, sabotage everything. Even though I was in that sabotage process, that was the thing that really just slapped me around the face. The wake-up call, if you would, came from I kind of befriended somebody, and she was really nice and helpful, and I was around her house one day, and she goes, oh, friends come around for coffee. Just so you know, her dad's died, so just be a bit easy, just bear that in mind. So we're all sat there and we're drinking coffee, and she just come out with it. She goes, oh, I can't be honest with you. She almost put her cup down and said, I'm so glad my dad's dead. And we were like, whoa. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, I just feel like I can live. I'm finally fucking free. You're just such a... And I got hit round the face really hard. In my mind, if this guy dies, you'll never have the power. She's not got the power. And if he dies, you'll never be free. That was the initial thing that I didn't want to accept. I booked myself onto a personal development course. And I knew it was coming, and I thought I'd get involved in that and see what happened as a result. And very quickly on, we're doing a technique, and we're going through this technique, and I chose this person to do it with, and why am I sabotaging my success? Oh, it must be because of... Right there. It was right fucking there, that was it. It was there. I was like, fuck. This is it. You've had all the, you've had all the things, it's now or never. So I told him. I told myself, and that was the first time I spoke about it. The cat was out the bag. I gave myself, through that summer and through that course, I come up with 4 options, and what I thought would be a case of I can just go in and say, hey, look, shake hands, 30 minutes, cuddle up, life goes on. Didn't work. It took 3 months of that, and then that still didn't work. It was never going to be enough, because I realised the severity of it and the shame that I felt and the responsibility, so I couldn't just cover it up. So my dad's policeman friend was also going to receive half of this will. So if he died, he was on this will. I thought, does he even know? And he said no, and he begged me not to tell him. I thought, what do I do? So I thought, I go and see him. So it was on the day of my mum's funeral. My mum's funeral, Jesus. It was my mum's twin brother's funeral, and I'd been building this up, and I've told her this, and I made an excuse not to take my mum. It was miles away anyway. It was lots of factors, but I chose to speak to this guy instead, and we met up, and the 3 of us were there that day because I'd asked him, because everything else I'd tried had failed, and I'd asked him to come and witness this man's confession. After telling him my confession, I told him everything. I told him how jealous I was that when I got chucked out because I didn't want to perform sexually for John, that I felt like that was the end of me, and he was being brought in, and I lost everything. I lost my home and everything else. I spat it out on the table, and his response with a text message was heavy talk, put the kettle on and I'll bring the milk next time. And I knew something wasn't right. After all that happened and he witnessed it and I felt free, this friend of mine that I befriended, she said, you're not going around there. And I realised that because my dad hadn't called me, and I thought, this is out of character, what's going on? Something's wrong. I tried calling, he wouldn't answer. So we phoned up the house manager, and we had an agreement where she'd know if John was dead because he wouldn't pull his curtains. And I kind of jested and said, I'd check his curtains. And she got back to me and said he's dead. And that was really hard, on top of everything else, because I felt like I killed him. And I went round there and I saw the body, and thank God there was a paramedic there, and I just looked over and there was this wallet out with pictures of those boys, and I thought, fuck's sake, this is the comedy and the seriousness. I thought, he's had a wank and he's fucking killed himself because he loves those boys and he believes they enjoyed it, and it's just the twisted mind of it. And I just looked at him like, fucking hell, what's going on? And and he always said, I'd never let myself get that bad. That's what all the paracetamol are for, and all the vodka, but he was from that age of stocking up anyway. It was that that generation. I genuinely felt like I'd murdered him, and I felt incredibly sorry for betraying him. Justice or revenge? Time went on, and I just felt like I had this animosity towards my dad's policeman friend, and I couldn't understand it. So I phoned some friends, and they said, look, Andy, have you reported this to the police? And I said, well, yes and no, I don't know what's going on. I have, and if you don't do it, I will. And I thought, wow, I need to check in on this. So I did, and eventually we had a second meeting, and the counter-corruption unit came in, and I didn't realise who they were, and it all got very serious. And that's when they said, "We believe you've been manipulated again." This is how I took it. I thought, "Fucking hell, you've been groomed again. What the hell are you doing? What are you not fucking seeing, Andy?" And that was a massive slap in the face. That I'd trusted someone again. You know, a year and a half later, I finally get back to that text message from one of the boys, and we clear that up. He disclosed to me for the first time he ever disclosed to me. My dad's policeman friend I realised I didn't need why he'd done it, because I thought I did. I thought I needed the truth. I just needed to know that he heard that there, and that was a truth. I needed that. I made a deal with myself that if I told the truth, that I could move forward. And I realised that it was my responsibility. As a young boy, I entrusted a part of myself from that point on in other people to make decisions based on my intuition. And I wondered why I kept getting let down. But that's why, because I'd given that over, and that's mine now. That's my responsibility. I realised that I was abused, and I didn't want to accept that, because like people, you know, you hear, especially with men, it's not all about penetration and you know, that there's a whole other world to child sexual abuse, and I've had to accept that part of my life. So I come full circle, really. I was talking on my niece a while back, and I kind of let it slip out. I didn't realise she didn't know, and I messaged her later and said, "Sorry about chucking that on you," and she said, "That's all right, it's okay, I didn't realise." And I said, "Any questions, you let me know and we can talk about it." And she goes, "Okay, blah, blah. So how did you meet John?" And there it was. That was the question that would help me get really drunk, to get really stoned, and to sabotage things, cause an argument, leave the girlfriend, create a scenario to leave, to disappear, and now I'm ready to answer it. I spoke with my mum, because I realised that she'd kind of let me have all that happen, but I realised she tapped out, and I can see that now. She put her hands up for many years, and she wasn't the reason why I got left there. A message to me, and this is what this talk's really at. This is about a message to me, and I realised that if there was a person on this planet or this universe that I was avoiding the most, it was me, and that's the person I need to connect with. And through this process, I wrote a message at the start, and it's still poignant now. I want to share it with you. Just give me a sec. Oh. Owning all of myself and sharing my truth sets me free from the self-imposed prison of my secret shame and guilt. I'm free to love myself and be loved. I'm free to forgive myself and all of those who I entrusted with that part of myself. The burdening shame that I covered myself in has tarnished everybody I cared and loved for, and I see that now. And I can hear you, feel you, and I love you. And that's what it's for. This is a